Welcome to the Motorcycle Monkey Podcast. I have two guests tonight. Not one, but two. We've got Chuck from Law Tigers. He's been on before. How you doing, man?
Doing well. How you doing?
Great. Glad to have you on. And Ryan from Full Throttle Hog. He's been on before. In fact, you were on the first one.
I was on the first one. Glad to be back.
Yeah, we have a whole 5 right now, too. 5 podcast episodes.
It's growing. It's growing every time. More and more content. Good people.
Yeah.
Except for you got to get more girls on. I think the whole Litas and everybody else got to get involved.
I talked to them. They're coming on the Litas.
Right.
I'm trying to get Mary Cupcake on before she takes her trip across country. She's on those every other week, but I want to talk to her. It's really hard to schedule with her between the two of us, so we're going to see if that happens. But for you, Chuck, we'll try and get more ladies on.
Thank you very much.
All right. Now, today we're going to talk about what to pack for Sturgis, what we've overpacked. You're going to stop me for a second
I am going to stop because I said you're talking about getting more ladies. I want more ladies to be represented because they are a larger, growing group of the motorcycle riding community.
Not because you wanted just ladies to look at.
I want motorcycle riding, female motorcycle riders.
Well, truth be told, you didn't tell him it was me that was going to be the second guest, so he probably thought it was somebody better looking than this.
I don't know. The ladies seem to like you, Ryan.
I don't know.
But I will tell you that, Chuck, I totally thought when you said you wanted more ladies that it was not professional at all. I really thought it was because you thought they were hot.
Well, women are a beautiful thing to have. And there's nothing cooler than watching a girl going down the road handling a set of handlebars on a motorcycle.
I will tell you, that's something pretty sexy about that.
It is.
Agreed.
Yeah. And I know that there's a certain way that we all, as men, picture ourselves on the Harley or the bike, whatever, and how we really look. Now, Ryan might look sort of like that. I don't know about you, Chuck. I can't speak for you, but for me, I look like Jabba the Hutt, but I feel like I'm maybe like Brad Pitt or something.
Yeah, no, we're all on that same page. Like, trust me, I've seen footage of myself going down the road, and I go back and watch it, and I'm like, oh boy, let's edit around that.
All right, Sturgis. The big rally this year, it's definitely on, especially with things loosening up for COVID. Even though last year it wasn't supposed to go on, it did. Ryan was there. Chuck, it's one of the very few that you've missed.
Yep, I haven't missed very many in the last 17, 18 years.
All right, so I've been twice, 2015 and 2019. You went in 2020.
Yep.
Chuck?
My first one was in 1998, and my last one was 2018.
Okay, so I'm just
17. I've been to 17 of them. A lot of them for work, and a handful of them for fun.
All right. So we're talking just for fun. Mm-hmm. Now, I'm the guy that trailers with my toy hauler and takes 2 and 3 bikes. My dad, me, my buddy Rudy, and then we fill the truck and we just go. And we have the advantage when we talk about packing for Sturgis with so much space between the toy hauler and my truck, the bed of the truck. We really don't even need to have this list. But for people who are taking their motorcycles, this is what this list is for, I would say. So I want to know from you guys, let's start with Ryan. What did you not pack that you wish you had? Did you go through that last year?
Well, I guess I'm probably the bad example of it because last year when I went, I did not ride all the way out there. We did trailers, so we had the truck and we had, things like that. So I actually overpacked versus underpacked.
Okay.
So when we get to that part of the segment, as far as maybe what you should leave behind, I'm your man. But as far as anything that was on the trip that I wish I would have had, no. I mean, and again, it's Sturgis, right? So if you just get there, you can figure it out. But, for me, that's just me personally, I didn't come across anything I really wish I had.
Okay, so Chuck, your first trip versus maybe your last trip, 17 occasions. Mm-hmm. Was there anything in there that you went, oh, God, I missed it?
Oh, yeah, there's a lot of things. As of late, creature comforts are important, for myself and everything like that. And now with phones, everybody has to have their cell phone, and having the power packs, the little power packs that you have on your phone, because you will take so many pictures and you'll leave it on photo and your phone runs down very quickly, and it's just one of those things. Not only just the charger, you have the little power packs. That was a big
portable.
Portable power. Yeah. That was a big miss that I didn't have. Another one is a towel. A small, like,
to dry yourself with?
No. Well, you could use for that, but like those little microfiber towels.
Yeah.
Every day it's nice and warm. Every night it's nice and humid, and your seat gets nice and wet at night when you're at the front of the bar, and your helmet. If you have your helmet lens goes back.
It's a good point.
And I never had one of those microfiber towels, and it was just and you can use it on your body during the day, hang it on your forks, get it dried out. It has a million uses, and every time I've gone on a motorcycle, I've always forgot to bring one of those.
So for me, when I went, I had the luxury, like I said, of the toy hauler, plus my buddy Rudy, who's pretty well versed at that. We had been to Laughlin, the river run, 8 years in a row before that, so we were kind of used to it. Not nearly the trip it is to Sturgis, but there's another friend of mine, Mark Baker, who I've talked about on several of these podcasts out in La Grande, Oregon, who rode 1,000 miles each way to get there. That guy packed on his motorcycle probably damn near what I packed in the gosh damn toy hauler. I mean, seriously, he had everything in nets, and he's a survivalist, so he's really good at that. Mm-hmm. But for me, we're going to move into then probably what we believe we need to have. And there are some things that I didn't have the first year and even last year, because I didn't learn from that first year, that I should have had. And one of those things is a tire pump, one that either can hook up to your battery, okay, or one that I just bought and got delivered today from Amazon, which is about yay long, about this big around, and it's actually a lithium-ion battery, good for 2.5 full car tires, maybe 3, so it's good for 4 bike tires from flat to full on one charge. But you can also plug it into the cigarette lighter, or the adapter, I should say, and then even in a 110 outlet in the wall. So that to me was a huge thing.
Yeah.
Something else I didn't think of that I now have is a jump starter. You never know. We've had bikes out here in front of the monkey shop that have needed to jump a battery. Did you guys bring that stuff, or did you need it?
People always need a jump start. I think that's one of the big ones. And I have a jump start box in the van.
Right.
That I probably jump started more motorcycles off of that, just by having it at different events and stuff. And now they make them so darn small that it'll fit in your bag. It won't take up a lot of room. You know what I mean? And so that is something that I've never brought with me, but it's something that I would going forward because they make them so small now.
Yeah, and I would think that the only reason I didn't bring something like that is because I was riding a 2020 Road Glide, and I was hoping that battery was good enough to... You hope. But then also with a motorcycle, I mean, I remember years ago when my Gixxer would die, we would just pop it like you would a car, right? You just go push down the road. I mean, so I think I would... I mean, it's a heavier bike, but I think that's the only reason. If I had anything, I think this year... I will bring one of those for sure.
So, all right. So, jump starter, that's something to think about. Size matters, no pun intended. You also have your tire inflator that I believe you should have one that's battery operated, and the option to plug into your adapter in your truck, or even just, the 2 little tabs that go on your motorcycle battery. I think that's a good thing. And I've got other stuff, but I want to hear from you guys about things that you think are absolutely essential. Some of mine is really stupid, but it's just because it's me.
If you're riding, and you're riding the whole way, one of those simple tire plug kits. You can be out in the middle of Wyoming, and it has the 2 plugs and the glue and the couple things, because you get a hole in your tire, and that will save you, man. Especially if you have the tire pump, and you got a plug, it'll set you up. You get a flat tire.
Yeah, it saves you hours, if not days, at that point,
right,
when you're out on the road.
And you only get 2 tires on a motorcycle.
Right.
So it's one of those kind of things. Tire plug's a big one.
Ryan, some essentials.
Yeah, I mean, again...
Because I'm going to dig really deep here in a second.
I brought so much stuff with me. And, of course, my concern is always fit the camera gear in there and then throw everything in the closet, and then I should be good. So, I mean, I brought the rain gear, which is important, right? And I use that almost right out of the gate.
You have to in Sturgis.
Oh, it's ridiculous.
Sunny 1 minute and it's raining the next.
Yep. And hailstorm next minute.
Yep.
Yeah.
Got caught in that too. So it was, all the stuff that everybody, I mean, sitting down and talking to you before we went, we kind of came up with a must-have list, right? And it was almost the same list that you see all over the place. Everybody was talking about the same things. Number 1 is always rain gear. Everybody I ever asked to go to Sturgis, rain gear. And it held true to form because I needed it.
So it's funny that you mention rain gear, keep the stuff dry, but you also mentioned your camera gear. Now, see, the issue for me is if I go on the bike and I'm going to fill my saddlebags, because I don't have as much storage as you. Now, I do have one of those travel suitcases that can go right up against the bar on the back of my bike, and it can hold quite a bit more, but you still have to pack light enough, for me anyway. There are things on my bike, my bags don't lock. And I want to trust people. People I don't know, I don't. So I have to have a backpack so that I can take things out of my bike as I ride around for the day. When I go to, say, Deadwood to walk around, I want to make sure I've got anything of value that would really bum me out to lose. For instance, the GoPros we're using in here, because those are great for the road as well. My still camera, my phone, obviously. But think about all the things that you would need to carry that would bum you out if you lost, right? Because if they're not back at base camp, you don't know how long you're gone on any given day taking a ride.
Right.
You know, you might need almost everything you brought. And I don't want to leave that in a bike with no bag locks.
And you know what? Riding a bagger, the only thing that I'm going to change this year for that purpose that you just mentioned is I am going to add a tour pack to the back.
Pizza box?
Not the pizza box. I'm going to go with the King tour pack. So it's not going to be the smaller one. It'll be a bigger one. So that is just, again, with camera gear, with everything else. When we were out on the road, there were things that we brought during the day that I would have strapped to the bike. But I'll tell you, we went to Arizona Bike Week, and the people we were with all had one of those tour packs. Those things can fit a lot. I mean, the girls came out with maybe a shopping cart and a half full, and to get back to our place, and they loaded in 3 bikes, I believe it was 3 bikes in those trunks. They loaded every piece.
Oh yeah. In 2015, I remember seeing Marshall and Bobby and a bunch of people who were all in a cabin together, and there must have been 18 or 20 of them, and they had how many friggin' baskets full for that many people, right? For the week. And so I remember they rolled up, "Hey, dude, how you doing? Good seeing you. Hey, we noticed you have the truck in the hauler. Can you follow us to our cabin? Because there's no way we're fitting this on our bikes." I said, "Sure, let me go in and shop." I came out 20 minutes later, and they were loading the last bit of canned goods. They fit all of those baskets, and I'm not sure I'm right. I think it was probably 4 or 5 baskets because, again, it's 18 to 20 people for the week. And they fit them all in the bags and their suitcases, whatever they had packed on top of the bikes.
Yeah.
But another thing, when you go to Sturgis, you've got your toy hauler at a campground, a tent at a campground if you're just going to go simple like that, or you've got a hotel or a big cabin like that. So it really does depend how you pack, how many people are coming, who packs what. Because, right, if you have a group of people going, let's say you have 10 or 12 bikes, you don't need 10 or 12 air pumps. You don't need 10 or 12 jumpers.
Right.
So you kind of got to coordinate that. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think it would be different, and Chuck probably can speak to it better than I could as far as riding out there. If you're going to pack and do the ride, I mean, I get the nostalgicness of riding to Sturgis. I didn't do it. I'm not doing it this year. I just have so much camera gear. I would be sacrificing all that if I did. Yeah.
Excuses.
Yeah.
Excuses.
That's what it is.
I don't know if you can hear it. Excuses.
They can hear you.
No, so it's just one of those things where I can't fit my stabilizers on my motorcycle.
Right.
I can't fit. So if I were to do it with like a group, that's what we'd have to do. We'd have to divvy it up because I would have to say, hey, I got camera gear to film everybody, but somebody else is going to, and obviously my clothes, but when it comes down to those essentials, I wouldn't have room.
But there's value in that, right? I mean,
Right.
you want to
Absolutely.
document the trip.
Yeah.
So,
And then there's another way of doing that. If you know where you're going to go, they have this thing called FedEx and USPS. You just mail your clothes to where you're going, and the stuff you need for the ride there you have. I did a multi-day cross-country trip on a chopper, and what we did is we FedExed our clothes to the hotels where we know our stops were going to be.
That's smart.
And then we would get in the hotel, spend the night, and all of that. Next day we'd have different clothes on, and people were like, "How are you doing that all out of this roll?" Oh, just good planning, well packed, and all stuff. Little did they know we had the small FedEx.
They're probably
boxes
still
filled.
telling that story
Yeah.
to this day.
These guys
like
were
a
all-
Mary Poppins purse.
yeah.
Yeah,
They were magicians, these guys.
And all they had there was a roll, and that was all. Yeah, that was a fun one.
But would you really trust you are a trusting human, it seems. I would not trust that I'd be out in Sturgis with no extra clothes. Now again, you can always wash
They
those
have
clothes.
stores there,
Yeah.
and they have many T-shirt shops.
Let me tell you.
I've gone to Sturgis with 2 pairs of pants, 3 T-shirts, a couple pairs of underwear, toothbrush, toothpaste, some deodorant, a couple pairs of socks, all in a small roll, and made it. I was a younger man, and not so many creature comforts. But, I mean, you can do it that way. And there is a laundromat right on Main Street if you want to go to Main Street just past Junction. And there's plenty of people sitting in front of that with their underwear on doing their laundry. It's pretty hilarious.
And almost every campground now that you have out there that I
laundry
saw,
facilities.
yeah, they have laundry. We did laundry, even though I brought more than enough. I'm going to tell you, this year I am only bringing 3 T-shirts.
Because you bought 100 while you were there.
Exactly. So I'm going to invest more space for like jeans and shorts, and 3 T-shirts max, and that includes a sleeping shirt. And I'm going for the entire 2 weeks. So
Now, see, that's where I'm horrible, because I'm that guy who thinks of all the scenarios, probably 99% of which will never happen. But I'll go, okay, I'm going for 12 days.
I need a snake bite kit.
Seriously, dude. No. That would even make more sense than what I'm talking about. I'll pack like 30 pairs of underwear, which takes so much space in your bag, and then like 35 pairs of socks.
Good God, man. 30 pairs of underwear and it takes so much space. What kind of underwear are you wearing?
Well, look at the size. But the thing is, in my head, this is where I get screwed up. In my head, I go, well, okay, so if I'm walking and I get off the bike and then I step in the mud and then I step in the water, my socks are wet. Well, that's day one. They're not going to be dry by the evening. I'm going to want to change those socks.
So now you're packing 2 pairs of socks per day just in case.
And that's the thing. And then the underwear. Well, if I jump in a river, they're going to be wet. I don't want my nuts to be wet, pardon me. Nobody likes the wet crotch, right? So, but that's what I do. I overpack.
I am just, oh my God, I'm shaking my head. These guys, holy smokes.
That's a bit much.
Well, you're talking about going like for 100 days with 2 pairs of underwear. I mean, you're just the opposite.
You're wearing a pair, you have a clean pair, and you got a dirty pair. The day you have 2 dirty pair, you're still wearing a pair. You can go to the laundromat and do your laundry. You're wearing a pair of jeans, they happen to get wet. You take that pair of jeans, you put that in the laundry, you put the same pair on, or if you're in Sturgis, you just sit in your underwear, the ones that you have, and you go to the laundromat. The other thing, too, is you have, like you said, a couple T-shirts, because you're going to want a shirt from that place, this event, that thing going on. So you're going to want those T-shirts. You don't need to pack shirts.
I'm literally telling you, this past year, if you go and watch any of my videos since Sturgis, I don't think you're going to find a single one where I'm not wearing a Sturgis T-shirt. I would have to go back and double check that, but I'm pretty sure.
What's about like 12, 15?
I think more than that. I honestly think more than that.
Did your wife say anything at any point?
They picked on me.
Oh, that's right.
So
Megan
much.
went with you.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Who I want to have on this podcast, by the way.
Yeah, she'd be a good one to have on too. But yeah, they picked on me because every T-shirt stand, and everybody's got a deal.
Right. Oh yeah.
Everybody's got a deal,
Yeah.
and I'm like,
why buy one when I can get 3?
yeah,
like 1 for 20 or 2 for, I forget,
40 or 3
3
for 60.
50 or well, yeah, exactly. The same price, but you're just like, I don't care, I want it.
I need it.
And they're all so creative out there too.
and it's so funny because you look at the price value, because you can go to Harley Davidson and spend $50 on a T-shirt, right, because it's Harley Davidson, but you can go to Sturgis and you literally can pick up each shirt for, let's say on average, probably $13, right?
I went to Walmart in Spearfish and got myself a Sturgis shirt.
Yeah,
for $10.
You know what? That's probably the only place I didn't buy a shirt is Walmart. This year, I'm going to buy a Sturgis shirt at Walmart.
Damn straight.
Yeah,
they're official.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Well, yeah, they all have to be official.
Right.
They've made it so every shirt's got to be official.
Oh, okay.
So
that's right. They got the official tag.
Oh yeah. So for the list, obviously, your toiletries. You want to make sure that you have some clothes, right?
Trial size toiletries.
Yep.
Yes.
Very small trial size in a Ziploc bag, so it doesn't get the goo doesn't get all over your clothes.
Which has happened.
Right. And your clothes, especially if you're riding there and back, definitely wet weather Ziploc bags at the minimum, and then a dry bag like an REI dry bag or one of the dry bags for the essentially this only works if it's dry type of stuff. So that's another big thing. And don't buy one big bag, buy a bunch of little bags or one big and a couple little, because then you can, and like you go to netting, you use bungee netting, then you can bungee net 5 or 6 small bags, and now my dirty clothes sits in this bag,
It's
my
not
clean stuff's here,
cross-contaminating.
and then if you're camping, then it's different. Now we got a sleeping bag, I got to make sure I stay dry. My tent can get wet, or I have a hammock and I got to find a tree, or I'm just using a soft pad. So it does matter big time on whether I'm going to camp. And they make camping chairs, they make every single thing that'll fit on a motorcycle, or if I'm going to a hotel or a cabin or a rental home. So what you got to haul is very dependent on what your accommodations are. But having dry gear for the wet there and back, and the easiest one, full face helmet, 2 pairs of gloves, cold weather, hot weather, a leather jacket minimum, and then layer. We all know about layering, T-shirts, this, that, and that, but we have to be prepared to layer up and then be able to peel that off. And then if it looks like it's rain, go to the first stop, and before it starts raining, put your gear on.
100%.
I hate when you see these people trying to right. You're putting
Then they're
your gear
putting
on.
their gear on over
With the
wet
wet
clothes,
clothes.
and all they're doing is the humidity. No, I got lucky with that. We were told, and it started just a couple small drops when we left Keystone, and we ran to the bikes, put our rain gear on, and I kid you not, 15 minutes later we were in hail. So, yeah, so that is essential. One of the things I did do is you can pick yourself up at the airport, right? Some of the airlines even just give them away. Those little containers that they have, like usually toothbrushes and things like that. Empty that out, put it with your own, whatever you like to put in there. It's a hard case. It zips up. All your toiletries are in like a 4-inch. I mean, we're guys, so we're a little bit easier. But, it completely seals up, and you got to just make sure you have that.
So as we're talking about what to bring, we are going to have a PDF. I'm going to have a PDF in the description below. You can get them probably all over the internet, but just so it's easy for you of what we're discussing here and some other items that we're probably going to miss today. But obviously you can think about a flashlight, but remember that most phones have your flashlight app.
And those
the
little
headlamps. Yes.
If you're
and
camping,
they're cheap.
Oh, they're nothing, man. Those headlamps, and now with LEDs and the battery life we get out of them, a headlamp, especially if you're camping, man, it changes the game. Or you break down the side of the road.
And as much as I love coffee, because I sell coffee, you can get it at motorcyclemonkey.com. There's a nice plug. And thank you, by the way, to Underworld Jewelry. Dago Dave, Underworld Jewelry. He is actually sponsoring the podcast as well. Of course, Law Tigers does. You know that, obviously. But I think 5-hour energy, because they're small, or something that's compact you put in your jacket pocket. I've never needed that ever on a trip before last year. And it wasn't actually at Sturgis. It was actually where I'm going this year, which is the cabin. Like I said, we were riding quite a while. And I was like, man, I am tired. And Mark, my buddy, says, pull over, dude, try a 5-hour. I said, all right, I haven't had one of those in years. They're this big. They fit right in your pocket.
A lot of people over fatigue. And they get fatigued and they don't think what to do. I'm just a little tired, whatever. And motorcycle riders are really big on, we dehydrate so easy because we're in the wind and we don't feel sweat. We don't feel the heat. So I like those Camelback. I know that's a brand thing, but one of those hydration tools because you can ride, take a sip, take a ride, take a sip, and you can keep yourself, if you keep yourself hydrated, keep yourself with some small nourishment, be it granola bars or whatever, not candy.
Well, nice and easy though. Something easy you can get in your pocket, grab it. Yeah.
And if you're riding with a group and you're in the front, bananas are fun.
Bananas are fun?
Yeah, because you can eat the banana and throw the peel. It's kind of fun.
Now it's a Mario Kart game that you're trying to get everybody to spin out. Well, and the other thing, now that I just thought about it, if you're out there, obviously with your full face helmet, I have a visor. I have a mirrored visor. Always with you on the bike at all times should be your clear visor. Mm-hmm. Because I got stuck in that hailstorm with my reflective visor, and all I had were glasses because I left my clear visor back at the... Actually, I think I left the clear visor here back in San Diego. Didn't even have it on the trip. But that was a nightmare because now, visor's up, sunglasses are on, hail's coming down, you're on the freeway. It was a bad thing. So definitely bringing that second visor, that clear visor, is if you have smoke.
Well, that's another one too, though. On the opposite side of that, you also even bring sunglasses, because I have not owned a pair of sunglasses for probably 3 or 4 years until I just bought them online. I'm roaching my eyes all day long. Like even out here at the shop, especially when you're walking around there. And the reason that I haven't worn them is, even on the bike, is because I have the full face modular that has not only the clear shield, but it also has you just push a button and then the dark part of the shield kind of looks like something out of Star Wars, the TIE fighters or whatever.
F-16 fighter pilot helmet.
Yeah.
But it makes me realize, because I don't want to wear glasses underneath that. It's way more comfortable to have the helmet like that. But I get off the bike and all day long I'm roaching my eyes. Right. So yeah.
Well, and you have to realize too, the law is that you always have to have something protecting your eyes. So let's say you do want to ride down the road, it gets hot out there, it gets humid out there, you roll in and you're at stop signs for days, it feels like.
Yeah, forever.
So you lift up that visor. Theoretically, you got to make sure you have something covering your eyes at all times.
You know why my helmet's awesome?
Why?
Because that doesn't go when the top goes up. It comes from the underside.
But it's probably tinted, yes?
Yeah.
Okay, so what happens at night?
Well, I have the shield down because it's probably not hot.
Well played.
There's another way of doing that is the the Bell helmet shield that I have is a clear shield, and it's got the sun sensor, so it sensors dark.
And so it changes?
Yeah, it changes from clear to dark.
Wow.
Little spendy.
This is the same guy that was making fun of our clothes and things like
Right.
that.
Wow.
Right, you bring 30 pairs of
Bushy.
underwear?
Yeah.
I got a Nassau helmet.
It's because because I don't want to have to do that switch over and stuff and getting stuck. We talk about the helmets and stuff. Baseball hats.
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
shade.
sun off the face, man.
Baseball.
Sunblock.
Sunblock. And if you're going to Sturgis, bug spray, huh? No matter where you are, you are now a
Rule
meal.
of thumb, if there's humidity,
Yep,
you
there's
bring in bug spray.
Yeah, bug spray.
So again, we'll have a list of all this, and guys, we can talk after this, and if we
dancing around.
think of something to add, we'll add as much as we can to it for you in a PDF form in the description down below. But we got to move on unless you guys have something else to hit.
Chapstick.
Oh, yes.
Add
Oh
that
my
to the
God.
list. You know what? Don't
Chapstick,
even
that's-
just
yeah.
write that down.
Yeah.
Chapstick, man. If you don't bring chapstick, chewing gum. When you're in your helmet and you're riding, a little bit of chewing gum, some chapstick makes your face moist. That's
Well,
all.
and the chewing gum actually keeps you busy. So if you do get fatigued, I use sunflower seeds in my truck, and then I just spit them into a cup. But I can't do that on a bike.
Right.
So gum is probably the next best thing as you're riding, just again for that fatigue. And we know there's a lot more. You want to make sure that you have some long sleeve shirts so that when you are riding without a jacket, I don't do that, but I know there's a lot of folks who do. You just want to cover your skin, really. I think.
And out there, I mean, you'll see people just and literally just their underwear, no shirt on, no helmet on, just riding down the road. I mean, I'll wear a vest with just a shirt. I mean, it gets that hot cruising down the road. Me personally, I brought my half shell for when I'm just going into town. Actually ended up using it a little bit more than I thought I would, just having that half shell helmet. Now, it's not one of those real thin ones. I mean, it's one that's got a little bit of, yeah, it's got some protection. It's not just for looks, but the full face is always the way to go. But it gets just so hot. If you're just going to go right down the road, you need a little bit of a breather. But
Yeah.
I'm never not going to wear a helmet. That's just my personal choice.
That's me too. I used to ride without a helmet till the law came around, and I'll be honest, I still don't agree with the helmet law because I don't think we should be told what to do.
100%.
I know they talk about stats and all that, but I personally, like you, Ryan, would choose to wear one. I don't know about you, Chuck. I don't see myself riding without one unless it's like down the block.
Yeah, I just don't want to be told to wear one.
Right. I came from a state that had no helmet law, and I rode for a long time without a helmet, or I'd use a novelty helmet. And statistically, after the business I'm in, I won't ride without a full face helmet. I'll go down the street with a half helmet or a shell or something like that. But if I'm going to get on a freeway, I'm going to do anything of any speed, be around a lot of vehicles, I'm wearing a full face.
Yeah.
All your gear all the time is what they say. And I agree to 99% of it. There's times when I don't think I have to have it all. But road rash is real. Having a helmet is way better than just hitting your head. And eye protection is important.
It's like wild hogs. Remember?
Yeah.
When I think it was John Travolta said, "I don't want to wear a helmet. I don't want nothing. I know. I just want to be free.
I want to ride. I want to ride."
Right. He says, "No helmets." And he goes, and then what was it? Martin Lawrence goes, he says, "I don't care." He goes, "You will when your head falls on it," or something like that. But anyway,
and that's to your point though. They always say, you dress for the fall, not for the ride.
Yep.
yeah.
So
Okay, so those are the things that you need to bring. Again, full list will be down below. We got to move on to something else, though, because you're talking about riding, right? And you get into all these rides. Sometimes you wear a helmet, sometimes you don't, and you just get into these situations where you might want to be more comfortable and have less layers on. The fact of the matter is when you are anywhere around the Sturgis, South Dakota area, you have so many great rides. And we talked about a little bit about this. Actually, Ryan and I did, and so did you and I, Chuck, about some of these rides. I want to know some cannot miss places for riding around Sturgis. Keeping in mind, as we start this, one more thing about the roads. Yes, you're literally on your ride. Unlike here in San Diego, you have to ride to get to your ride. When you're there, you could really step out of your campground or out of your driveway, and you're already on the ride. It's so beautiful. But there are wild animals everywhere, and that's something I think about too. Just because there's not as much traffic does not mean that something can't get you. So that's just my 2 cents there.
You're right, and there's more deer and bear and elk out there, and they're on the side of the road in the early parts of Sturgis. When I get to ride, when I'm there for setting up for an event, we'll go riding where there's no motorcycles for 15, 20 minutes, and the deer are right up eating that salted grass that's right next to the road, and you can hit the horn, they just look at you, or they'll walk across the road. And then if you go to Needles Highway and you're out there and there could be buffalo, right there.
We've all
Yeah.
seen
I-
buffalo
we all-
up close.
We've all had buffalo almost as close as we are together today. So
Yeah.
it's they stink. They stink.
Yes.
Well, and that's also where the more underwear for me comes in play because it makes you, gets you a little nervous.
But yeah, you definitely got to be aware of the surroundings because it is beautiful.
animals.
Wilderness animals are there. It's
They that was the one thing that was. I mean, it wasn't. I've seen deer before, but like you said, they aren't fearful. Obviously, people are not trying. They're in neighborhoods.
They're
Like, you're
conditioned, yeah.
They're conditioned to just be, hey, I can free roam. When I was in that hailstorm, that was my biggest fear on the freeway, going down the road. I see deer on the side of the road, but I barely can see straight ahead of me, right? Because I'm kind of tilting to the side. But you would see them, and that was my biggest fear, is that a deer was going to come out. And at that point in time, there's not much else you can do, but you have to be aware of that. But getting to your question, rides that you have to get to, is that what we're kind of?
I would say two things. Let's start with a ride you have to do without a particular destination in mind. Let's just say where that ride is. And then, of course, there are destinations on those rides. I don't care how we do it, actually, to be honest. Just we don't even have to quantify it like that. I just know I've got my top three, and I want to know what your guys are. Let's start with you, Ryan, because basically Chuck's been there, more times than.
He's gonna say some names that
Right.
Yeah, Chuck's Highway. He's probably already got. They named him after him. But by
A
this
bridge
point-
named after me just last year. But
No.
what do you think?
So, that's a tough one. There's so many great routes. I mean, you get the map that's everywhere, right? Any gas station, they're all over the place.
That's the nicest thing they do. Is
Yep.
for the visitor, they highlight a lot of the rides.
Wait, at the gas stations?
Every
Yeah,
gas
it's
station.
every gas
Why
station.
in the hell did I never get one?
You've
Yeah.
only been a couple times.
So, and the
They
best.
went once.
The best thing that you can do, obviously, with today's technology, is you take a picture of that on your phone, front and back, and so you know where all the rides are that you want to get to, and you can kind of plan that out in advance. But I would say, so if we're going to go, Iron Mountain is a must, and if you're going to do Iron Mountain, Needles Highway is going to be in that same
Part of it.
part of it, right? And I brought this up in my Sturgis series. You want to do that
On Full Throttle Hog.
Oh, thank you. You want to do that in reverse. You want to take Iron Mountain down and Needles Highway back up. Remember that. If you were watching this and you're getting ready to go to Sturgis, the views are different depending on which way you go.
You're right.
Somebody told me ahead of last year, I think it was Megan actually that referred to a friend told her, like, you need to do Iron Mountain down, to the point where we went to Rushmore, and then went on Rushmore, made a right, went down, and we were about ready to go Needles Highway. We said, no, we're not doing this. We looped back around and took Iron Mountain down and then Needles Highway back up. So I will bunch that up the same. I'll just call that the Rushmore ride, because almost everybody does it that
Which is
point.
amazing.
Yes. Other than that, I'm going to tell you Spearfish Canyon is probably that's going to be my must.
Right.
So
And we talked on our podcast, we talked about it too, Ryan. Spearfish Canyon is as beautiful as it gets, and it is the must ride. So let's put that one aside, because it is.
And it's an easy ride, too.
Easy and beautiful and wonderful,
gorgeous.
Oh my gosh, it's just a gorgeous ride. But there's other great rides. There's so many great rides.
yeah, you could actually, and I on purpose, because everybody said if you go out to Devil's Tower, it's just a boring straight road. So what I did is I found some back roads, and they're not the most sophisticated ride, but at least there were some turns. I had a great time even on that ride, and they said that was going to be the most boring ride. I'm like, well, this is boring, right? I'm excited. And keep in mind, I did this right after Beartooth Pass, so my expectations were already so high.
To me, nothing beats Beartooth Pass.
But Spearfish Canyon, like you said, we can put that aside. That is going to be a must. Everybody is probably who's researching going there, they've heard about it. And if you're going to go into Deadwood, that's the only way that you need to go.
Now, that's funny you say Deadwood, because Chuck and I talked about last time, my first time in 2015, Iron Mountain and Needles, the Rushmore ride, by far my favorite. In 2019, I don't know, because Spearfish something happened in 2019 to me with Spearfish, with that waterfall and just how peaceful. Yes, majestic's a better word. You're just cruising.
And it's 35 mile an hour roads.
Yes.
And there are police everywhere,
Yeah.
just kind of posted up. But at that you're enjoying the ride so much. There's a couple of turns you look at, you're like, oh, I want to take this one at some speed. But you're looking around, and going 35 miles an hour and just kind of taking it all in is awesome. We, next to that waterfall, we actually saw mountain goats climbing up right there. I mean,
I
they
didn't
were,
get to see that. I wish I did.
There's just so much wildlife and places to take photos, and yeah, I would say between Spearfish, Iron Mountain, Needles. I mean, those are going to be my. If you're only going for, let's say, a 2-day turnaround, right? You got to do those.
I got a friend who did that actually. Rode all the way out, stayed for 2 days. That's all he could do, and rode back. And that's what he did. Those two routes.
That's and those are great routes. Now there's other rides
Yeah.
that some might say aren't so great, but they are fun.
Which one are you talking about?
Well,
You thinking Crazy Horse, or are you thinking like Custer?
Crazy Horse is cool. Going into the city of Custer during rally. My thing is, I'm lucky enough because I've gone to Custer when there is no rally, and watched it build up into a rally, and you watch how the town morphs itself into rally.
Almost like a time warp.
Yeah, it's like, and you just wonder how in the heck did this happen. The ride backwards to Devil's Tower is cool, and I've done it that way. There's just so many cool little towns back there in the back, and oh man, it's just so much fun. The ride to Wall Drug, don't do it.
Wait, the ride to what?
Wall Drug.
I think we both said what?
Yeah, I don't know. What
I've only
that
been
is.
once.
There's a place called Wall Drug, and it's a world's largest
Ball of yarn.
store, like a convenience store. It's like 2 city blocks long.
Oh, I've heard of this.
Yes,
I've heard of
Wall
this.
Drug.
Wall
It
Drug.
is freeway straight till you get there, and it's the worst. Now, if you want to go ride, that's not a great ride, but it's cool to see. Mitchell, South Dakota, to go see the Corn Palace. Mitchell, South Dakota.
Now, is it because the corn's that good, or is it just?
The Corn Palace, look it up. Go to www.cornpalace.com or Mitchell, South Dakota. The whole exterior of the town's sports center is covered in corn. Ears of corn, things of corn, all different colors. The last year I went, they had all the seals of the armed forces done in corn. It's huge. It's
So
beautiful.
it is really a corn palace.
A Corn Palace, absolutely. And
Not to be confused with Porn Palace.
yeah,
Different
and
place.
the wonderful people at Clockworks put on an event Thursday before Sturgis starts, and they have people doing stunts, and they had a bagger jump over like 30 feet and stuff. So it's like the town's version, the east part of South Dakota, welcoming riders on their way in to go to Sturgis.
I got you.
So it's like everybody that comes from Chicago and back east and stuff are riding in. They hit Mitchell before they.
It's kind of like State Line when you're going to Vegas.
Right, exactly.
Okay.
Same thing. And they have to do something, and they do a car and bike show, and they have a big hoopla going up on that Thursday before, and it's cool. It's not the greatest ride, but it's a great destination.
So we've already learned a couple of places that we didn't even know about.
Yeah.
Wall Drug, maybe not, but the Corn Palace. Now I actually do want to go see this.
Yeah.
it's look it up. It's cool.
Bear in mind too, though, that all of these places, like there are different levels of riding, and I wouldn't say any of them are too difficult. But on Iron Mountain Needles, there is a 10-mile-an-hour turn that takes you. It pivots you sort of to your right as you crawl up, and that one's tough. I'm going to tell you, that is not an easy turn. So do know that there are different degrees of riding. You know, and Iron Mountain Needles, to your point, what we didn't bring up this time are all the tunnels. The tunnels there are just fantastic.
So cool. Yep.
And the thing that everybody needs to, if they've never gone to Sturgis, they're probably watching this and trying to figure out what they're going to plan for this year, is, I mean, as many people as I saw out there that were brand new riders and trying to learn how to ride a bike on Iron Mountain, it absolutely freaked me out.
Yeah, not the place to do it.
And they're even talking about it at rest stops. You know, they pretty much just picked up the bike that week. They just got their license the week before. Iron Mountain is not the place you want to learn how to ride a motorcycle, or Needles Highway. Like you said, it's not it's not the most sophisticated ride, but you do need to know what you're doing.
There's some technical.
And
I'd give it a 3 out of a 4 in technicality.
yeah, there's some technical parts
Yeah.
for sure, and depending on the speed. Now, with this, I had the opportunity to go a couple days early, so I got a chance to hit Iron Mountain, Needles Highway before the event started, but then I went back on a Saturday.
Oh my gosh.
And it was almost like a parking lot. So it's up to more experienced riders just to keep everybody safe, realizing that, yes, you might be the fastest rider out there, but you hugging the line to show off, that's not the place to do it either, because the guy coming down or the girl coming down the other side might not have that much experience. They might get focal fixation, whatever it might be. but I saw a lot of that. The hot dogging meets the new rider, both could have been avoided.
Yeah.
Right. So I think the responsibility falls a little bit on the more experienced rider to say, you know what, I've done this before. I get it that it's fun, but this is not the weekend or the week to probably jam up Iron Mountain. Now, if I lived out there, oh my goodness, I would find a way to take Iron Mountain Needles Highway to work, even if I lived in Wyoming.
Yeah, it's taking me 3 hours to get there, but
Yeah.
I'll be there.
You know, you say like Gillette, Wyoming is a nice little town.
Beautiful.
Gosh, just a great place. It's a nice little ride, but it's not a fantastic ride. And there's so many other, like people talk about going to the Badlands. The Badlands was okay.
That's how I feel about it.
Yeah, it was.
I'm going to have to admit it. Me too.
Yeah, I live. Yeah,
Badlands are cool.
It reminds me
It's a
of the
one-time
Superstition Mountains.
Yeah.
Like that's, I mean, and don't get me wrong, it's just because we can see it all the time. It's that kind of a desert look to me. It was a long way to see something. We almost ran out of gas, and it was a long way to, I'm glad that I did it, and you get off the bike and you kind of explore a little bit. But other than that, I'm like, I don't know if it was worth the 4-hour, 5-hour day.
I don't know. It's like a movie that you see and you go, I'm glad I saw it because I know what it's like now and I can get it out of my head. Maybe for that.
Yeah.
Just to do it once.
Yeah.
Like for me, this may be unpopular, Crazy Horse. I did it once. I don't know that I'll do it again. Now, if I went with a new crew or someone who really wanted to go back, yeah, sure, because it's not that far away from Iron Mountain and Needles. It's just, to me, unless you're going to pay the $100 or whatever it is, $90, $120 to get up on the bus and go to the actual crate, because Crazy Horse is huge.
Oh, yeah.
That monument is massive, but you're so far from it when you get to the part where you pay like $10 to get in, I think it is,
like
that you're looking through the little scopes and you don't realize how big it is.
Now, did you go in and watch the whole movie on Crazy Horse and the history and all that kind of stuff?
I watched. Oh, in fact, I did actually.
Yeah, I did too. I
Was
thought it
that
was
20
interesting.
minutes?
Yeah, it was about 20
I
minutes.
did watch that.
And the family putting it
Yep.
off and no government doing it. And then all of the artifacts and all the Indian stuff. And if you love history and the land and how things are going. And the 2 times I went there was the day that they have the artisans there with the Indian artisans, and they had their
that'd be
stuff
cool.
set up and they're selling things. And
I did get to see them dance, by the way. I think they call them
and
bird songs.
Yeah,
Am I right? Bird singers.
Oh, I missed that. I would have liked to see that too. That'd
That
be
was
cool.
actually cool. Now, I have to say that made it worth it. But if they weren't there that day, I'd go, meh.
So I had a bad experience with Crazy Horse as far as getting there, because there's a 6-mile stretch that they were doing construction and they made us go off-road. All these bikes going off-road. And you are going at a snail's pace behind a whole bunch of other bikes on a dirt road. Now it's a fire road, right? It's not. It's
Still not what you planned on.
It took away from pretty much everything because you were on that for like 6 miles and going real slow. So it took you about 35 minutes just to get through that section. Then getting there, I mean, it was cool. But like you, I've seen it. I thought it was very interesting. I mean, the fact they say it's going to be like 5 more generations before they have that
bummed me
built.
out. I'm like, I'm never going to see this.
I mean, hey, my great-great-grandchildren are probably never going to see it. So, but just to experience it and see that history, I thought was unbelievable, because I didn't really know too much about it before going there and experiencing it.
Now, I want to get to some places, some restaurants, some things like that for folks, because there's one place in particular that I found so bitchin'. But to get back real quick to, just in case you haven't seen the previous podcast, when we talk about Wyoming and Montana and Beartooth Pass, that is right by Yellowstone. But that's about 300-something miles out of Sturgis. You must, in my opinion, back me up or not, I don't care what you're planning for Sturgis, you need to take the extra couple of days to do that. I think it's worth it.
Oh, yeah.
100%.
If you are in that state or coming near the state, it's worth going to.
Absolutely. Beartooth Pass, Dead Indian Pass, Chief Joseph Trail, the east entrance or exit, depending on which way you're going, from Red Lodge, Montana, over Beartooth into Yellowstone is absolutely amazing. And from Cody, Wyoming, you can get there too. Now, we've spent some time talking on other podcasts about that, so I'll move on. But some must-see now places, actual like restaurants. So we know downtown Sturgis, right? It's amazing. It's fun. You got to go there at least one night. One-Eyed Jack's is a hell of a bar. You've got a great video on Full Throttle Hog. I've got one that I didn't do half as good as yours, and I think I'm at like 200,000 hits on it, which I was like, really? Because I'm showing body shots and all that, like you did.
Right.
Yours, see, he has better quality video than I do. Mine is like, cell phone, and yeah, I got a Sony 4K and all that, but he really makes his cinematic. So you can check out Full Throttle Hog for that. He has videos from Sturgis, so do I. Though Chuck's been there more than us combined times 10, he hasn't, as of yet, started any kind of filming like that. I do know you're looking into that, though.
Yeah.
But as far as a restaurant goes, I got to tell you, Boar's Nest Bar and Grill. Spearfish Canyon, right before you start there. It's I think it's right before, is it right before or after Deadwood? Because Deadwood is absolutely a place you have to go.
Right.
Number 10 Saloon, we've talked about that.
Yep.
But Boar's Nest is something that's lesser known.
And that's on the outskirts, right? That's right there at that corner. It's almost at that intersection.
Yeah. Oh, you know what? You're right. It is
Yeah.
just as you dive into Spearfish Canyon, right before.
I know exactly that one.
It's such a bitchin' place. Elevated
outdoor,
ceilings.
Outdoor seating area and like
Overlooking
chilling.
the
Yeah.
creek
Overlooking
and
the
the
creek.
mountain, the
Yep.
side of the hill.
Yep, we've all been there now.
But and the food is spectacular. So Boar's Nest Bar and Grill, Deadwood for sure, and even the graveyard up top that not a lot of people know about. But that graveyard where Wild Bill's buried and Calamity Jane, and really, really cool. Number 10 Saloon, where we went down, like I said before, where I got to see where Wild Bill was shot. The 2 rock walls still exist before the fires came, even after the fires came. That's still part of it. But I don't know, guys.
Here's my thing, and I'm sorry to jump in there, but one thing that I try to tell everybody who's thinking about going or has asked me about last year's experience, the amount of patience you need to have when you're out there, especially if you're going to sit down and eat, the service is going to be extremely slow.
Right.
There is so many people for a town that houses usually 6,000 is now getting close to 1 million, right? So they do not have the staffing to keep up with that. So you need to keep that in mind. This last trip, I didn't get a chance to experience that many nice restaurants only because I didn't want to, me personally, I didn't want to sacrifice that much time sitting down. We went to dinner, Boosted Bagger, myself. We went to dinner.
Hold on. Boosted Bagger's another channel. That's Justin, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So Boosted Bagger and I, we went out to we wanted to have a nice restaurant or nice dinner when we were in Deadwood. And it was like there was a casino there, and then upstairs there was like a nice like steakhouse or whatever. Like, yeah, let's do this. It took us 3 hours to eat after we were seated.
That can be maddening.
That absolutely, and to the point where you're just like, okay, I know I got to ride back, and I got to do this, and I got to do that. So that was the longest experience I had. But even breakfasts and things like that, you get real nervous getting up in the early morning because for me, it was all about just riding. I wanted to take in that experience, and of course, going to Main Street, downtown Sturgis. I mean, forget about it. You're gonna have. I ate so much fair food, I guess, at that particular point, which is everywhere.
Like stands and things like that, just to get no line kind of
chicken
thing.
Sticks or whatever you can get. Yeah, whatever you can get. So, but I mean, all those different restaurants down there, you can always probably find a good place to eat. I just didn't have that experience because I didn't want to take away.
Well, there's a way around that.
Oh, I like this.
Go early when the event's not going on, and there's some great restaurants. No,
But even early in the day can be okay at certain places.
The thing that I've had real good luck is, and we haven't talked about this at all, is Rapid City, downtown Rapid City. If you walk downtown, they have some beautiful restaurants, wonderful places. It's a big enough town that they have.
I'm trying to picture this. How far out of downtown Sturgis is that?
It's in Rapid City.
Yeah, so it's past the
I'm
dealership.
just trying to think. I'm trying to think.
You're going east from Sturgis.
Okay.
It's the first bit. It's where Black Hills Harley Davidson
Oh,
is.
gotcha. Okay,
That's Rapid
there's the
City.
bell. It had to ring.
Yeah.
There we go. Got it.
So you make a right to go into Rapid City.
Okay.
And then
Gotcha.
And you go into Rapid City, and downtown they have these statues of figures from history, and there's a lot of mom and pop restaurants and stuff. And it's just where you can go and sit down, and it's gonna be normal. And again, they have a lot of those chains are there as well. But it's one of those places where you can go find a nice steakhouse, a nice little Italian place, and the ride's not that far. I mean,
No.
from sitting back before Sturgis. Because when you're in Sturgis, festival time, you're at One Eye Jack's. If you're not eating steak sandwiches from that one carny guy in the front.
That's right.
Yeah,
Yep.
the steak sandwich guy.
Yeah.
And if you're in like Loud America, Bare Knuckle Saloon, it's the same thing. We got burgers, we got cheeseburgers, we got chicken Caesar salad, and burnt ends.
That's what you
French
get.
fry. And
Yep.
that's every restaurant serves
Or
all-
you can just go next door and have the exact same thing.
Yeah, or the next place over there and have the same thing.
Here's what's funny. We were downtown Sturgis. You're talking about going next door. We tried to eat in some of those places in 2019, and we got so fed up because there was 6 or 8 of us. And so that's tough already.
Yeah.
So we finally went, gosh damn it, let's drive or ride just a little bit down the road and let's just start looking. So all of a sudden, Rudy and Jen, they were ahead of us by probably a good mile, right? Because I had to go and get my camera gear back in my bag, and I'll meet you down the road, just, text me. And all of a sudden, before I get on my bike, he goes, hey, dude, it's about a mile down the road. It's going to be on your right, and it's a Chinese food place. And I love Chinese food. But in Sturgis, I thought, what the hell?
You're on LaSalle.
Yeah,
the little Chinese place in LaSalle. Yeah. It's like the back part of a car parking lot type thing. Yeah, I know.
And there were like three people in there, and it was a buffet.
Yep.
And
Chinese
I thought,
buffet.
oh, this is going to be a crap hole.
Yeah, red flag.
No, but it was good. It was actually good. And I didn't get sick. I'm still alive. But I was so hungry. To your point about waiting 3 hours, I was like, I don't give a damn. I will eat the ass end out of a dead cow right now. Let's have this. And it was good. And it was cheap, by the way.
Yeah.
That's another thing. You got to be ready because they're going to gouge you. It's how they survive for the year. They're going to gouge the riders in Sturgis. Every event you go to that I'm aware of, they gouge you. Which one other thing, by the way, now that COVID's over and they won the lawsuit, we hit this a little bit last time, Drag Pipe Saloon. They're going to have food vendors back this year. Good. So they will have food vendors, and it's inexpensive to camp. Now, I realize it's very, very primitive. Yes, it's extremely primitive, and it's bumpy, like I said last time, but we got to give them credit. The beer is cheap. It's a fun place to party. And as I said again, it's right across the street from Full Throttle Saloon.
So, and can I be honest with you?
Yeah.
With being, in California and as overly taxed and expensive as things are, I didn't find it as much of a gouge as I had in my mind. Because you go to downtown San Diego, all right, and you get a beer, or you go to the ballpark.
8, 9, 10. Oh, ballpark's different. $14.
But I mean, yeah, if you're going to get a beer in downtown San Diego, it's between $9 and $12.
Right. Absolutely. Now it is. Yes.
So when I was out in Sturgis last year, that's the kind of gouging that I had in mind when I was seeing $4, $5.50 for beers, which I was okay with.
I don't think that's a gouge at all.
Yeah, and so I don't know if maybe they lowered it a little bit because the COVID thing, they wanted to attract more people. I don't know. But I also thought it was really interesting last year, and I hope they lift that this year. It made no logical sense. The city, and good at them, by the way, for putting on the Sturgis 2020, the city itself got rid of open containers outside, right? They made that a city ordinance. To me, it was counterproductive because wouldn't you want people just to grab their drinks and then be able to socially distant outside with their beverage?
That makes sense.
But they said, no, we're not going to have any open containers outside. And then they pretty much they
Are you looking that up to see if that's a law this year?
No, because what happened is today on Google, they had in City Council today in Sturgis, South Dakota, they are thinking of reenacting and allowing open containers at Sturgis from LaSalle and Main Street, the one street south of Main, I don't know the name of that one, all the way from Sturgis Harley-Davidson to the courthouse.
So anywhere you'd walk in the action.
Anywhere you walk in the action from LaSalle and they just put it against the city board again.
Boom.
And they want to do a certain style cup, a certain where everything's pretty uniform.
So the official cup.
Like the official cup.
Okay.
This is
And that's like $35 to buy that one.
red Dixie cup here,
And refills are only $15.
Right. But no, they would still do the same because
No, I know.
At Drag Pipe, you got $3 beers.
You do. You have $3
daytime-
bottled beer.
Bottled beers,
Live
$3.
music.
Which is probably the best I saw. Even I didn't go over to Drag Pipe Saloon this last trip.
And they're such nice guys.
$3 beers. I mean, I think that anywhere in the country that's
With
gonna be great.
music.
Now, again, I know that sometimes people talk about, well, this place is too expensive or that place. But I have to tell you, I don't care what the price is. Personally, I think you have to have one beer at least in Full Throttle Saloon. I just think you need to see it for the way it looks. We've talked about this. Industrial meets Mad Max. It's just badass.
I had many beers.
All right, I'm going to snooze this because
So-
I don't want to stop you. That's 55 minutes.
we're
Let's
doing
keep
good,
going.
yeah.
So many beers at Full Throttle Saloon, and to be honest with you, it was a great experience. We parked the bikes, Ubered it in, and just made a night of it, which was well worth it. I mean, you can spend all night there. We great concerts, great venue. Yes, it's going to be a little bit more expensive, but for me, I was there for the experience.
Just the metalwork. the whole building is metal. Because, if you notice, his last place burned up.
Yep.
And it looked like a Western
And I
saloon.
never went inside, which
I've been to-
pisses me off.
It's pretty cool.
Well, because I rode
that's right,
Bob by there in 2015, and
It was
2
fun.
weeks before the damn thing burned down,
Oh, that's right.
there was a line of about 200 people, and I looked at my friends. We were on the communicators, and I go, I ain't stopping for just standing in line for 3 hours to get in. And he goes, nah, me neither. Who knew it friggin' burned down?
Yeah.
Anyway, go ahead.
So
Sorry,
the,
I just
the
had
new
to.
place is all metal, all that industrial stuff, and every seat's a crank, and there's cars hanging from the ceilings and motorcycles, and you could torch that place if you wanted to. There's no way to light that building on fire.
Smart move.
Yeah, and it's just really kind of neat of how he went about it, and a big plug to Pappy Hoyle Campgrounds, which is a great place. Drag Pipe Saloon is a great primitive place to go camping.
And Buffalo Chip is I think, if it's something that you like or don't like, you just got to do it once, because Buffalo Chip is a city in itself.
I didn't go to Buffalo. So this year
It's expensive.
So it's on my list. It's like full throttle, right? So I have to go to Buffalo Chip because I didn't do that last year.
Do you mean to camp, or do you mean to go just to see it?
just to go see it.
Well, they'll probably only let you in the front, but there's stores and stuff you can drink a beer.
Right, which is fine, just to actually go there and experience that.
You should, yeah.
Because there's so many. I'm sure there's so many different places, but I digged going downtown and hitting all the little tiny dive bars. Not the big. I mean, One Eye Jack's. That's
the biggest.
That's kind of like Iron Mountain or Spearfish Canyon. Like, let's leave that.
It's
Everybody's
a
going
must.
to do it.
Yeah.
But the little tiny dive bars were actually a lot of fun to be in.
And it's a better chance to get to know some of the locals too, right?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I bet there was local. I don't know, but I mean, there were so many people. But yeah, I mean, it just having that experience. I'm a big dive bar kind of person anyway.
I am too.
But just being able to hang out, in these little tiny bars, and you can have a beer. The good thing is, if you're responsible, and you should be responsible, if you go down there at a reasonable hour, and you can space yourself out and have a couple beers, and you'd be okay, right? But you do have to be careful of the people that maybe went a little too overboard.
Overindulged, yeah.
And you'll see it. I mean, good at them. Some of them will let their bikes get towed and say, you know what, I'm not even going to move my bike. I'm just going to go get it out of the yard tomorrow, which is, a better move. But, yeah, I mean, you can space it out and have, you can shop for shirts everywhere.
Right.
I can tell you that.
Yeah.
And then hit up those little dive bars along the way, have a beer, just take it all in, and just talk to people,
Did you get a chance to go to the Dungeon Bar?
No, I wanted to so badly.
The Dungeon Bar is owned by this girl, Trinity, which is one of the flaunt girls that danced at
Oh, yeah,
Full
Full
Throttle. Her and her dad own the place. He's an electrician. It's only open the 14 days of Sturgis.
And they probably make enough for the entire year.
And she does. And just a plug out to the Dungeon Bar. Cheap beer. It's a beer and wine bar. It is dark. It is dingy.
Is it downtown Sturgis?
It is downtown
and
Sturgis.
You have to go downstairs.
Because I missed that. I missed it both trips.
You won't see it unless you know it's there.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's one of those
Okay.
things. It's funny because the Christian Motorcycle Association has the building in front of it, on above it, and then the opening takes you down to the Dungeon Bar, and there's probably $500,000 in $1 bills stapled everywhere, and there's no less than
It's like a piggy bank.
no less than 400 to 500 pairs of panties stapled to the walls.
Which is also like a piggy bank.
Right.
Right.
And it's just a beer and wine place, and she puts on such a fun. She's got great fun people there. It's my mandatory go-to when I'm there. And it's
on the
right
list.
across from the Armor Building. The Armor Building is like right at the corner of Junction and LaSalle, kitty corner from the Sturgis Motorcycle Museum, which is another thing. Sturgis Motorcycle Museum downtown. You must go to it. They've added a wing. It's a great thing to go see. There's so many bikes of history in that place, and the basement's very cool. So those are just a couple places not everybody does.
Yep.
So
100%.
All right.
I cannot wait for this year.
Well, what you must pack, as we talked about, what maybe you don't need to pack, you can overpack, depending on how you're going. We'll have a link to all of these things we talked about. The Dungeon Bar. If they have, some of these are so primitive they don't even have websites, but I'll do my best to find links to everything that we've talked about, some of the routes, things like that. And guys, I appreciate you coming on.
heck yeah.
Yeah, it's good to be
And
here.
what we've talked about is only a scratch of what's available in Sturgis.
100%.
Go to Sturgis.com. They have on any given day of the route or of the event,
The rally.
the rally. Thank you. I've been to so many, I don't know what they call them
Yeah.
anymore.
He just calls it a Wednesday.
Yeah. of the rally, you can go to that day, and like the first weekend of Sturgis, it'll have how many events are going on that day, and I've seen it have 400 events in one day of something going on. So if you like drag racing, it's there. If you like hill climbing, it's there.
Live
if you like
music.
flat tracks, there. If you like live music, if you want to go see your classic rock bands, they're going to be there.
And some phenomenal cover bands, by the way.
Man.
And that's another good
Loud
point.
American cover
Yeah.
bands. Ooh.
Oh,
Do
yeah.
look up online, Sturgis.com, or at least Google Bands in Sturgis 2021 because you do want to make sure ahead of time. Some of the bands are so big that you won't get tickets unless you're getting them now.
Yeah.
So definitely do that. Guys, again, thank you, man.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Yeah, my pleasure.
The cover band thing, man, we didn't even scratch that because there is such.
We might have to do another one.
I know it's not like we should. Let's
Part
just
two.
keep rolling. Part two. Part two of Gab about Sturgis coming at you live. You know?
Yeah.
So it's fun, man. It's a great place. If you've never been, you gotta go.
Yep.
Chuck from Law Tigers, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Ryan, Full Throttle Hog, thank you.
My pleasure.
They'll be on again, I'm sure. And if you've ever served this country, past, present, men, women, every branch, we love you. We appreciate you. Thank you. And God bless you and your families for your tremendous sacrifice. Ride safely.